The Reds will score first as Brian Barnes throws a wild pitch. It goes off the glove of Mike Fitzgerald, and Mariano Duncan comes in to score, making it 1-0 Cincinnati. Then in the bottom of the first, Delino DeShields is running on the pitch as Marquise Grissom grounds one up the middle. Barry Larkin stepped on the base before throwing, but Bob Davidson ruled DeShields safe at second. The replay will show that he made the wrong call, and you see Larkin and Lou Piniella also believe it was the wrong call as Piniella comes out to argue. Later, Chris Hammond ran into a little control trouble. He walked one batter and then threw another ball. Lou Piniella came out to the mound to talk to Chris Hammond and then somehow got into another conversation with Bob Davidson. He went over to pursue that conversation, which then became heated, and after some choice words were exchanged, Davidson threw Piniella out of the game. You'll see that coming up right here. The Expos failed to score that inning, so the score was still 1-0 Reds. The Reds are now working with Jackie Moore as manager as Piniella has been ejected. As you see, this argument continued for a while with John McSherry trying to break it up. We go now to the top of the fourth inning, where Chris Hammond, the Reds starting pitcher, will help out his own cause. He fakes a bunt and then hits a ground ball through the rotating infield. That's a single that scores Hal Morris. You'll see Joe Oliver getting caught off second base, but the score was 2-0 Cincinnati. In the bottom of the fourth, the Expos tied it up as Mike Fitzgerald hit a two-run shot to left field. It's his first home run of the season and scores Ivan Calderon, making the score 2-2. Then in the top of the seventh inning, Glenn Braggs hit a hard ground ball single to right field that scored Barry Larkin, making it 3-2 Cincinnati, and that turned out to be the final score.
New York City on Thursday evening, the New York Mets are hosting the Atlanta Braves at Chase Stadium. Dave Magadan at the plate against Pete Smith, the Atlanta starter. Scoreless game in the first inning. Magadan lines one over Ryan Gant's head in center field. A double on this play. Vince Coleman scores easily 1-0 New York. Same first inning. Howard Johnson at the plate. He lines one through Pete Smith into center field. Dave Magadan scores on the plate. 2-0 New York after one. Greg Olson at the plate for Atlanta against Wally Whitehurst, the starter for New York. Second inning, and the line drive to left field. Kevin McReynolds, great play to end the inning. But then the Mets waved goodbye to their lead. In the top of the third inning, it's Otis Nixon at the plate against Wally Whitehurst. Mark Lemke, who tripled, scores on this. Nixon, ground ball single. 2-1 New York. Top four, it's Sid Bream at the plate against Whitehurst, the starter for New York. And Bream gets all of this one into the bullpen. And a two-run home run, his 8th home of the year, and now Atlanta leads it 3-2. And that would actually be the last scoring of the ball game, as Pete Smith, the Atlanta starter, went 6 innings and gave up the 2 runs to New York. Here he strikes out Hubie Brooks to end the 6th inning. Juan Berenguer came in to start the 7th and earned the save. Here, with 2 outs in the 9th, gets Hubie Brooks to pop up to Jeff Blauser to end the ball game. Not too gracefully by Blauser, but effective all the same, as you'll see. For Berenguer, his 8th save of the year. Wally Whitehurst was the loser for New York. He's now 3-3, as Smith is 1-0. Atlanta wins 3-2.
Doug Driebeck and John Smiley and the rest of the Pittsburgh Pirates play host to the Los Angeles Dodgers on this Thursday afternoon. In the top of the second, Randy Tomlin gets Mike Scioscia to strike out. He'd be one of 3 strikeouts as he struck out the side in the second inning. In the bottom of the second inning, with Bobby Bonilla on third, Barry Bonds at second, and Mike LaValliere on first base, Gary Varsho lines a single to left field. This scores Bonilla, giving Varsho his 5th RBI of the season, and Pittsburgh takes a 1-0 lead. Gary Varsho wasn't done having a big game because in the top of the third inning, with Darryl Strawberry at the plate, he makes his diving catch on a ball slicing away from the right field side, robbing Strawberry of extra bases. Here's another look at Gary Varsho's diving grab. Then the Pirates would pick up a run on an error to go up 2-0, and in the top of the 6th, Stan Javier flares a triple to the right field corner. This scores Juan Samuel, and Darryl Strawberry comes in and beats the throw by Curtis Wilkerson, and the game is now tied at 2. Then in the top of the 9th, Randy Tomlin's pitch hits Lenny Harris on the hand. Home plate up Ed Rapulano motions that it was a foul tip and a strikeout. He later changes his call when realized that the ball hit Lenny Harris's hand, awards him first base, and Jim Leland comes out to argue and gets ejected by Bruce Fremming. Later on, Pitt with a mound conference when Curtis Wilkerson yells something at home plate up Ed Rapuano, and he turns around and tosses Wilkerson from the game. Things would only get worse for the Pirates as we're in the top of the ninth with one out, and Alfredo Griffin lines a single to left field. Lenny Harris comes around to score as Barry Bonds boots the ball, and the Dodgers now lead 3-2. In the bottom of the ninth, Jay Howell comes in to pick up his 11th save as he gets Jay Bell to pop out to Juan Samuel to end the game. And the Dodgers go on to defeat the Pirates 3-2. Jim Gott gets the win. He's 1-1. Randy Tomlin falls to 3-3.
Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego on Thursday afternoon, the St. Louis Cardinals were in town to face the San Diego Padres. First inning, Bernard Gilkey on first base trying to steal second. Atlee Hammaker picks him off, but Fred McGriff's throw hits Bernard Gilkey in the head. It was that type of day for Bernard Gilkey, as you'll see later. Gilkey, getting hit, would eventually score on the play to make it 1-0 St. Louis on an Ozzie Smith hit, and it was 2-0 St. Louis after one. Bottom two that score, Benito Santiago doubles down the left field line, and look at Bernard Gilkey in left field crashing over the bullpen mound, and as you see the replay, you get informed that Bernard Gilkey had to leave the contest as he suffered a dislocated right thumb. It was Santiago on second base with a ground rule double, and he would come in because Thomas Howard is at the plate against Bob Tewksbury, the St. Louis starter, and Howard gets an RBI single that goes into right field. Santiago scores, and it's a 2-1 St. Louis lead through 2 innings of play. With the score 4-1 St. Louis in the 5th, Jose Oquendo practices the suicide squeeze, and it works. Todd Zeile scores from third base, 5-1 St. Louis. And after Bob Tewksbury got a single to make it 6-1 St. Louis in the same inning, Milt Thompson, Gilkey's replacement, is at the plate, and Thompson lines a ball into left field. Gerald Clark should have had it, but he doesn't. He crashes into the fence, and another run scores as Bob Tewksbury crosses the plate, 7-1 St. Louis on the Thompson double. Then Thomas Howard makes a snafu in center field on the Ozzie Smith triple. Milt Thompson scores 8-1 St. Louis through 5. Top 7, Ozzie Smith lines it to Fred McGriff, who throws it away. Tom Pagnozzi and Jose Oquendo score on the error, 10-1 St. Louis. They win it 12-1 behind Bob Tewksbury. He's 5-2. Atlee Hammaker 0-2.
The afternoon baseball action as Jim Fregosi and his Philadelphia Phillies are in Houston trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Pick up action here in the top of the first inning, some sloppy play. Von Hayes taps one back to the pitcher Darryl Kyle. He bobbles the ball. Wally Backman scores, and the Phillies lead it 1-0. Then later in the first, Jim Lindeman with a ground ball, 6-4 on the putout, but Casey Candell throws wild to first base. John Morris scores, and the Phillies take a 2-0 lead. Then the bottom of the second inning with the Phillies up 2-1. Candell redeems himself with a double to the gap in left center field. Jeff Bagwell scores, and the game is tied up at 2 apiece. Darryl Kyle will run into trouble, though, in the top of the third inning. When here with the bases loaded, he walks Rick Shue. John Morris will score from third base, and the Phillies take a 3-2 lead. The very next batter, Darren Fletcher. He also walks. John Kruk scores from third base, and the Phillies increase their lead to 4-2. And still in the top of the third inning, Rod Booker comes up and hits a sacrifice fly into right field. A great catch here by Eric Anthony, but Von Hayes tags up and scores, and the Phillies increase their lead to 5-2. In the bottom of the fourth inning, Eric Yelding at the plate, and Yelding hits a single into right field. Casey Candell scores, and Javier Ortiz will score at a play at the plate. Ortiz will knock the ball and the glove out of the hand of Darren Fletcher, and the Phillies' lead is cut to 5-4. That's where they stand right now as they play on in the fifth inning.
Moving now to the bottom of the ninth inning, a strange play ends this game with Steve Finley on second base and 2 outs. Mitch Williams on the mound for Philadelphia. Craig Biggio of Houston hits a ball to John Kruk. Mitch Williams is late covering first, so Kruk doesn't have a play at first, so he throws home and gets Steve Finley for the final out. The Philadelphia Phillies defeat the Houston Astros 5-4.